Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
Okay!
Peace. This is the enemy's public. I am Bro.Nasir. I have a question for the people. Yet before I ask that question, I'm going to play a few music selections to let some people in the house. Let me share my screen. And I have a question for the people, a very important question for the people. Before then, I'm going to play some music selections starting with my brother, Dre Cobbs, from the American Aborigine album, Crabs in a Bucket. We're going to have 3 more after this, then we'll get into the subject matter. Very important question I have to ask the people.
The crabs in the bucket, we can't do nothing of it. Haters continue frontin', and the real ones they love it. Rustle like vomit, we especially above it. Vibe high like rocket, till we keep it 100. The crabs in the bucket, we can't do nothing of it. Haters continue frontin', and the real ones they love it. Rustle like vomit, we especially above it. Vibe high like rockets, and we keep it 100. They wanna deceive you, cause they just wanna be you. So they mad when they see you. Be a master achiever, all you need is to be you. Put the bullshit in review, I put the bullshit in review. All the bullshit I outgrew. Haters mad cause they not you, but God insists pursue you. Meditate like I'm Hindu, but this aboriginal. Really, I'm just original. Spirit man with a plan to withstand any man or entity with issues. I meditate with my pistol and my amethyst crystal. That's something that I commit to. Protect yourself from these fools. Spiritually, physically, close from the enemies. Rule 1, always protect your energy. These niggas be on negative frequencies, man. Fuck it, let them be. They can't fuck with a G.O.D. Roll up something sticky. Keep it gangsta and hippie. Stay on hustle like Nipsey. Bro got all that in the G. The crabs in the bucket, we can't do nothing of it. Haters continue frontin', and the real ones they
Tony Stewart laughing y'all like it's NASCAR. My rhymes elegant like salmon with the caviar. My third eye, let me see who you are. Crabs in the barrel, they grab you when you reach too far. I shine bright cause I be with the stars. Get you these bars and maybe they can heal a few scars. Smoking asteroids and then I go and build with the God. Who knew my pen game was cuckoo kind? My spirit tells me, you know you the one. I'm up, niggas, and I already won. My energy is kinetic, and then I pass it on to my son. Each one, teach one, and let it repeat like a rewind. The supreme being, I found my higher self. It was inside me, then I brought it out myself. When they can't reach a level, envy brings out the devil. The devil brings out the metal. And this way of thinking leaves me unsettled. Man, we gotta do better.
The crabs in the bucket, we can't think nothing of it. Haters continue fronting, and the real ones they love it. Rustle like vomit, we especially up a bit. Vibe hot like rockets, and we keep it 100. The crabs in the bucket, we can't think nothing of it. Haters continue fronting, and the real ones they love it. Rustle like vomit, we especially up a bit. Vibe hot like rockets, and we keep it 100. The crabs in the bucket, we can't think nothing of it. Haters continue fronting, and the real ones they love it. Rustle like vomit, we especially up a bit. Vibe hot like rockets, and we keep it 100. The crabs in the bucket, we can't think nothing of it. Haters continue fronting, and the real ones they love it. Rustle like vomit, we especially up a bit. Vibe hot like rockets, and we keep it 100.
We're going to go to Taha's the Genius, Streaming Money.
And that's on God. One day I put my feet up and rest, but I've been on my job. If Lewis Street can talk, then I'm next. Cause bitch, I do this till the Reaper come. Cause bitch, I'll do this till the Reaper come.
We on a different time. Mob ties splitting eyes. My guys are sitting high from mob ties with different tribes. FTL, the Wizard of Oz. I put that whip in drive. Jumped on that yellow brick road and got them shit supplied. I've been a thrive. Painting your inner eyes. These niggas penalized. She remembers time. I painted her inner thighs and left it symbolized. Aura is different. Your story is fiction. Try to ignore my existence. That boy is all in your mentions. I bought a party at 10. They all grip. I can't bring no more sin. And we well respected, nigga. We ain't got full shit. That boy dip. I got the course grip. Plus my torch lit. We been this way since we been jumping off the porches, huh? My biggest secrets is left with niggas in coffins, huh? My life unorthodox. Nightmares I was forced to watch. Every flip thinking if I'm about to take this loss or not. And that was level ups. I need my paper off the top.
And that's on God. One day I put my feet up and rest, but I've been on my job. If Lewis Street can talk, then I'm next. Cause bitch, I do this till the Reaper come. Cause bitch, I'll do this till the Reaper come. And that's on God. One day I put my feet up and rest, but I've been on my job. If Lewis Street can talk, then I'm next. Cause bitch, I do this till the Reaper come. Cause bitch, I'll do this till the Reaper come.
All of my niggas rugged, shady niggas in the shade, they always up to something. Few bricks, vac sealed up in the Louis Duffage. Give them sound instructions, exchange the Mr. Function. I'm lit, can barely function. My nigga, these dust bunnies always reaching for my streaming money. Since when this nigga come, might be intoxicated, could lose my occupation. But who be worried about muffins when all my niggas caking? Pull up and range and hummus, inside the color hummus. Been doing well for myself, my cup don't overrun it. I spit a couple balls, gazelled a couple hundred. Young badass nigga who's always getting punished. To spend some time with addicts, just means you want some acid. Trip out in Wonderland, whatever happens, happens. Never satisfied. will get the satisfaction. Be beasting in the game, cause I'm a beast in practice.
And that's on God. One day I put my feet up and rest, but I've been on my job. If Lewis Street can talk, then I'm next. Cause bitch, I do this till the Reaper come. Cause bitch, I'll do this till the Reaper come. And that's on God. One day I put my feet up and rest, but I've been on my job. If Lewis Street can talk, then I'm next. Cause bitch, I do this till the Reaper come. Cause bitch, I'll do this till the Reaper come.
Look, if I still got the key to it ain't really being neat. Got the time, then quarantine and vacancies on campus living. We'll be tripping if I ain't out trying to get mine. Man's blood on the door you need. No mask would save you, just another way to profit. I mean, used to be hype beast, now it's just mainstream. I took the mask off just for the sting grin. Heard it's contagious, it's the thrill of your last thoughts. Shoot the shooter, camera duels like I'm Cole Sprouts. Watch how you maneuver, can't compute when you off grid, right? Grade high, plug feathers, way, mind way. Giving sight for the moment, midnight gospel for your atonement. Left through the side door swaying, a hymn to carry you far beyond the yours. I'll soak you playing your part until the curtain call. Interrogation never mattered to the lockjaw. Spitting through the wire, we abide behind Marabi Cole. Gift you with the choir, we just sad you couldn't hear.
And that's on God. One day I put my feet up and rest, but I've been on my job. If Lewis Street can talk, then I'm next. Cause bitch, I do this till the Reaper come. Cause bitch, I'll do this till the Reaper come. And that's on God. One day I put my feet up and rest, but I've been on my job. If Lewis Street can talk, then I'm next. Cause bitch, I do this till the Reaper come. Cause bitch, I'll do this till the Reaper come.
Tahas the Genius. Next, we got a freestyle from Tahas the Genius. And then after that, we got Chewy King, 30 bars.
Yeah. Genius. Look. Nigga with attitude is back. Swag on 100 with an attitude to match. Heavy verse at funeral. Eulogy of raps. Got niggas like damn, it's sad the way he had to do the track. Look. Cause everything I touch, I turn to body. Shout out to the young G's coming up behind me. The young me did a bid, paid his debt to society. Bunch of niggas fled, but a couple stayed beside me. And my niggas still clutching in that lobby. Hustling and pack while they puffing on that lolly. Muscle in the back if you suckers wanna try me. Cause I done seen the scrap turn into a fucking homie. And I know his hitters still trying line me. So I guess I gotta melt niggas like pastrami. When I drop, they gon' shelf niggas, that's on mommies. Flex hit his verse, I guarantee he gon' bomb me. Cause they never seen a flow like this, like jail food. Bet you I'ma blow up quick. I'ma keep shooting even if I throw up bricks. Cause eventually it's gonna be a show enough switch. I'm a G and I ain't never had to throw up shit. Where I'm from, my young boys gotta grow up quick. Got the game on lock since I sold up zips. Just no tie gon' shine like a glow up stick. Damn. But first I gotta tie up all these loose ends. Hard times showed me all my true friends. I've been seeing life through a new lens. Just know my motivation is a new Benz. I told her she can hang, but that dude pins. I'm rolling with the gang, bring some cute friends. But don't you get no funny ideas, cause my cousin Samir always walk around with two twins. I call them shits T and Tamara. Empty the whole clip, that's freeing up the barrel. Dinners with gold tips, I'm fleeing my apparel to get rich as a road trip, that's even if it's narrow. But I'm gonna ride till the wheels fall. These niggas ain't thorough, they just feel hard. Me, I call the shots like a drill sergeant. The plug got locked, but I'm still charged. Quarterback in the pack, I'm Cam Newton. Singing, I happen to rack, my swag stupid. I've been doing this since I was a kid hooping. When you got it for this long, you can't lose it. When you got a team this strong, they can't move it. Niggas try to steal my style, but can't boost it. I'm just trying to fill my pile, advance to it. It's just paper, Prezi, and time, my clan too lit. My clan too lit. Just paper, Prezi, and time, my clan too lit. Picks up, baby. Let's go. Look, and I don't give a damn if they shoot, cause they don't wanna see me when I start the plane in my group. These snakes creeping through my garden trying to land on my stoop, but the grass cut, guess you could say it's animal poop. While y'all was out getting high, mixing cram with the goose, I was serving this 85, mixing clam in the soup. I've been hanging in the trenches, I'm the man in the noose. If you a soldier, then why the fuck you abandon your troops? Niggas claiming they the realest while I judge them by their dealings. It's been a little minute, but you fucking with the illest. The upside is crazy, you can play the villain. If I loosen up this tie, I'll be busting out the ceiling. But they don't even get this shit went over their head. I'm feeling like a killer, plus I'm close to the edge. If you don't wanna be the reason why they toasting the dead, let me eat, cause I'm the nigga that's supposed to get fed. When I still had a couple left, niggas still double checked and watch a nigga date just to see if they in trouble yet. Been away for 8 and niggas still ain't start the bubble yet. Guess they in the way, my city waiting on another vet. And Ty don't mind being a savior. First I got some niggas to find, that's on my way up. My mother told me leave them alone cause they ain't worth it. But I told her mom, my mind already made up. These niggas gotta feel it, yeah, I'm talking about my rap. Cause they been in my way like they was walking in my path. I hear these niggas talking about they talking out they ass. When niggas talking about Ty, that shit resulting in a blast. When I get off my shit, my niggas gotta love it. My city been going in and I'm a product of it. And after this, I better be the topic of discussion. Cause truth is you ain't gonna find out how the subject. I need that type of paper that the scholars touching. That type of daughter when you get it, you ain't got a budget. I need that type of paper that the scholars touching. That type of daughter when you get it, you ain't got a budget. Has it?
QB King, 30 bars. That was Ta-Hasa Genius, freestyle.
I got him. Who the real threat? That shit that you bang is not a real set. The king of the city got these niggas upset. And I heard your homie got shot in the back. If that was me, I would've shot that nigga in the neck. Got the gun tucked riding through your hood. Serve the meal out the window. I'm not talking about a lunch truck. I'm dangerous like walking Texas Ranger with the nunchucks. Young nigga with that bullshit like Michael Jordan with the fucking brush gun. In my 40 be letting niggas down easy. That's because my gun is stuck up. I pop up on your fucking block with a shotgun. It's not a fucking block. Get your mom and pop shot where you picture rock. Jump around, got him playing hopscotch. Red beam on this bitch nigga. My gun jam, that's a fucking cock block. Hollow tips about to let it burn like Usher Raymond. Watch him fucking pop lock. It's about to be a hot summer. I think he mad cause I fucked his mother. I think they mad cause my bitch bad. She an Asian bitch with a fat ass. My 45 smoke so much I gotta shoot this shit with a gas mask. I disappeared and pop back up on these little niggas like a bad dad. About to run up for these niggas, everybody with me down to pop a trigger. If a nigga think it's sick, hit him with a click, cut him up and put him in the river. Better be a good swimmer. All these rappers look like my motherfucking dinner. Let me switch the momentum like go with the old rhythm. I count to 3, then let the 4 hit him. Kill everybody that roll with him, get ready to go with him like a car crash, like the pole hit him.
It's been a rough 24 hours for people in Wildwood after fire.
We'll get back to that in a few minutes. And I just want to ask the question. Yeah, T. Wriggles, that was my son. He's rapid fire. He got different cadence. Sometimes he rapid fire with the lyrics. Let me get to this. Let me cover this up real quick because I don't want to get into that yet. Now, I have a question for the people. And the question is, with all the rise of occupied forces in our cities, how many of us are prepared? If entities that a lot of us depend on, like grocery stores, when the shelves become empty and the trucks stop making deliveries to those stores and we can't go in and get what we want or what we need out of those stores, are we prepared? If so-called essential workers, such as first responders on all levels, suddenly are unavailable to respond, how many of us are prepared to deal with what we may encounter? Are we prepared? If the power grids fail and our cities become completely darkened, how many of us can say that we're prepared to deal with that? If there are food riots, essential item riots, and someone is coming to invade your home and take what you have stored in preparedness, are you prepared to deal with that? Do our people or people in general know how to jar or can food and give it shelf life? Do we even know what we should store in our homes in the event of so-called emergency, or what they will call anarchy? Or if the government becomes more tyrannical than it is, are the people prepared? Are we prepared to combat tyranny? A better question is, do the people even know that we are under tyranny? Are we prepared to deal with what we see happening abroad as it is fast approaching our doorsteps? We could shun it off, we can ignore it all we want, but it shouldn't happen to you for you to know it can happen to you. If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. Do we have medical supplies in the event that someone becomes injured? Because to suggest a war without injuries is straight up foolish. Yes, war. Martial law, anarchy is a declaration of war against the nation's citizens, the people, taking away people's rights for whatever reason is a declaration of war against the people. Can we actually say that we are literally prepared to fight for our rights? Can we say that, any of us? When executive orders, such as Executive Order 14043, is implemented to order people to do or take the hokey pokey, or any of us prepared to resist and disregard such an order? All of this, believe me, is well on its way. I'm not going to ignore it because I see it coming. It's like seeing a punch coming. You're going to keep your head there, or you're going to dip that punch and counter. I'm going to dip the punch and counter. Or we are prepared to deal with not being able to fuel our vehicles. How many of us are physically prepared to get to where we're going on feet in the event that we can't use our vehicles? How many of us are talking to our loved ones, stressing preparedness to them, showing them what preparedness is? I'm not even saying that I'm fully prepared. I'm just asking the question. Another question that's essential is, how many of us can eat one meal a day or one meal every other day? These are questions that I was just thinking about, pondering. How many of us know what plants are edible in the event that we run out of food? How many of us can start a fire? How many of us are hunted? If we're not hunters, we might become the hunted. So we need to learn how to hunt. How many of us know how to fish, scale, cut and gut after we catch? And if you're a vegan, you'll be good if you knew what vegetation suffice you outside the farmer's market. So we need to consider that if you're a vegan, because a lot of us will go get that good fruit from the farmer's market. But if the farmer's market is unavailable, we need to know how to deal with that. Those of us who have homes, how many of us have solar lights outside of our home as opposed to the hardwired lights? We should have solar lights around our homes. Solar lights are dirt cheap. You can go to Walmart and get solar lights. $12 to $14 per light. The sun charge it during the day and they work all night. I have them all around my house. And they're motion sensor. Now, they're dirt cheap. Again, $10 to $12, $14 the most. Motion sensor lights. Because having a generator is actually ineffective if you cannot get gas. So the solar lights is more sufficient. Having a generator is good in the event that you can get gas. But if you can't get gas to power your generator, you just got this big generator sitting there useless. So I suggest the solar lights. First aid kits, mouthwash, alcohol, gauze pads, clean rags is essential. Toilet paper, iodine peroxide, flashlights, batteries, candles, matches. Some people say transistor radio. I don't know how that's going to work, but if you have batteries, it probably will work. A machete, duct tape. Machete can use for different things. It can be used as a weapon. It can be used as, if you need to get through some things. Stormproof matches. Strike anywhere matches. They have strike anywhere matches. Lighters. 55-gallon plastic bags, the strong ones. These are things that we may need. We have to prepare ourselves, and we have to look at what's going on abroad, because it may be at our doorstep. Are we prepared to deal with that? If we're unable to call each other because the towers are down, there's no cell towers that's working, because they have executive orders that they say cut off all communication. They have executive orders that say commandeer transportation. They have all these different executive orders that they can implement to simultaneously put all the executive orders in effect. Do any of us even know what the executive orders are? That's something that we need to study and understand what that means. Because a tyrannical government, that's what the militias are for. In the event that the government become tyrannical. See, our people, we focus on the wrong thing. We focus on trying to be intellectual, want to be the smartest brother or sister in the room, in the chat, on the panel. But in all reality, none of us are prepared to deal with what may happen in the event that this government become more tyrannical than it is. If you look, we would see that police are becoming more and more militarized, and they're caring nothing about the rights of the people. Nothing. You start talking about the rights you have, arguing with one of them, you're going to end up in cuffs because you're saying you have these rights and you're not empowering yourself first so those rights can work for us. And the only thing I could say that will empower us, that if we join each other and we exercise some strength, we become strong together. That's the only way it's going to work, that if we become strong together on the same accord, standing and acting on each other's behalf. Other than that, I don't care what we say on a panel. It's, it's worthless and it's not essential to what we may need to do. And if you are afraid to bleed, if you are afraid to shed blood, you need to just lay down, cross your arms, if you're afraid to do that. Because if we know who and what kind of people we're dealing with, we would know that a violent people respect those who are able to fight back. And that respect is out of fear in all actuality, because a bully will bully you, but the one who can flex a muscle and actually hit back, they back off that person. We need to learn how to come together in strength. We used to have a saying back when I was growing up, when I was younger, on the strength. We used to say that all the time, on the strength. I'm going to do this on the strength. That's what we need to start doing, things on the strength. Because others look at us, we have the ability to come together, but it's what we do when we get together is the problem. The conversations we have is the problem. The useless information that we discuss is the problem. If we can't actually use it to affect change, a positive change in our people, I don't see the reason to discuss it at all. To spend any time discussing something that's not going to affect the positive change in and for our people. Other than that, we just running our damn mouth. I'm going to do some videos and I'm going to do some narrative while the videos are playing. And the videos are based on what I just spoke about in preparedness. Because things get out of order and things don't last forever. Now, I'm sure nobody's on this platform, I know for certain, is under a rock or under a rock. Nobody in this chat is. No. I see the names in this chat. Nobody's under a rock that has been under a rock. Brilliant minds in this chat. Everybody. I know everybody's seen the bridge fall in Baltimore. when I seen that bridge get, I don't know how hard it hit it, but if a boat can hit a beam and knock the bridge totally down, and my critical thinking is, I'm thinking World Trade Center, I'm thinking that because one little small boat knock a whole bridge down, I'm thinking the bridge wasn't even structurally sound for it to come down like that because it looked like a damn toy. Or it was done on purpose. That's my critical thinking, from my observation. For a bridge to come down like that, it didn't look structurally sound for it to go down like that. And we can make that synonymous to this country. It's not structurally sound. It's very vulnerable. The whole entire nation is vulnerable. You got two old decrepit guys fighting for office. And the ignorant among our people is putting faith in that. Some say, okay, I'm going to vote for Lucifer. Some say I'm going to vote for Satan. It's the devil and his damn brother in the flesh. We need to not worry about that. Peace to the brother Sir Drop TV. Peace to the brother Bronze Flat Power God. Talk Your Talk Media, my brother Greedy Vegan. My brother T. Wriggles. Peace to the brother The Realist McCoy. Respect. Peace to the sister Sharon Walker. Peace to the brother Dre Cobbs. Salute to you, brother. Peace to the serpent, God, King, Morpheus. Original. Salute to you all. Thanks for tapping in this evening. Now we'll get into the videos.
It's been a rough 24 hours for people in Wildwood after fire knocked out power for more than 24,000 customers. Now, over the next half hour or so, officials do expect to have about 80% of that power restored. The rest by 9 o'clock tonight. Action News reporter Becca Hendrickson shows us how people are coping in this heat.
Never seen it like this. It's amazing.
On one of the hottest days so far in summer 2023 in North Wildwood,
we couldn't breathe a little bit.
Families struggled to find solace from the heat.
I know, we've been trying to hit a bar and we can't find anything open. Captain Jack's is closed. It's a downer.
And worried about the impact on their vacation.
We don't want to overload the system as customers are using a lot of power on hot days like this.
Atlantic City Electric.
Now, these power grids are getting weaker and weaker. And like I said earlier, if we're not prepared to deal with being in the dark or preventing ourselves from being in the dark by having those essential items, it's going to be left in the dark, literally.
Electric said crews worked around the clock to repair the power after a fire at the Lake Avenue substation Friday resulted into an outage affecting 24,000 customers. Officials say the fix was complicated.
Quickly and safely as possible. We're also installing temporary equipment until a permanent equipment is fixed at the substation.
Saturday afternoon, more than 8,000 customers like Eileen Garten were still without power.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. It was so hot.
She and her husband cooled off and charged their phones at the North Wildwood Community Center.
We've had people in here that are on oxygen and need to charge up their oxygen. We had a lot of people last night doing that.
Perhaps the coolest place to go on the island.
Another thing that we may need to worry about, if people are on oxygen tanks or if people are pharmaceutical dependent. If there's no Walgreens to go to, no CVS, no Dwayne Reed, no, Rite Aid to go to, that's something else that we need to consider. Are we prepared to deal with that?
Was the beach itself Patrons packed the sand looking for relief in the ocean breeze.
We came back
Now
here.
we're going to go to New York and New Jersey, expected increasing shipping because of what happened in Baltimore.
The impacts here at home. Local officials are allaying concerns about our own infrastructure.
Meantime, more ships may be diverted to New York and New Jersey to help with supply chain issues. CBS News' Christina Fan joins us live from the Newark Elizabeth Marine Terminal. Christina.
Mary and Chris, good morning. Tuesday's catastrophic crash raised many concerns here locally. People wondering just how safe and structurally sound our bridges and infrastructure are, as well as what kind of supply chain impact there will be down the road.
Commerce screeched to a halt at the Port of Baltimore following Tuesday's massive cargo ship crash. The port is one of the largest on the East Coast, processing more than 1 million crates every year.
When we're looking at a port, a major port like Baltimore, that is bringing in billions of dollars of goods, they're going to have to be delivered in some way.
In the event the port is inaccessible, as it is today, Baltimore ships can be diverted to ports in New York and New Jersey, like Port Newark and Port Elizabeth.
What the real question is, are they going to be able to deal with it on everything that happens behind the port? Because it's nice enough that you can drop off a few containers on the dock, but they have to go somewhere. And that's the part where I'm a little bit worried about that we might see congestion, we might see delays.
While supply chain experts assure consumers any disruptions should be manageable, local officials are trying to calm fears a similar bridge disaster could occur here, emphasizing bridge infrastructure in this area is some of the most highly monitored in the nation.
We want New Yorkers to rest assured that the right precautions are in place to ensure that our infrastructure is safe and remains safe, and how it interacts with both trucks and ships that both hit bridges occasionally. We have the right protections in place.
Meanwhile, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey says it expects to see an influx of diverted ships coming here as early as today.
Why is that sounding like it's a normalcy? She said the boats hit bridges occasionally. A bridge being hit by a boat one time is one time too many. Just imagine if it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, rush hour. It'd have been more catastrophic than it already is. And they saying that like it's a normalcy. It should be not tolerated at all. All of that down room under that damn bridge, and you going close to a beam?
Today, reporting live from Port Newark, Christina Fan, CBS 2 News.
Christina, thank you. And stay with us for the latest on the collapse and the impact here at home. Our coverage continues at 5:30. You can also get updates anytime on the CBS New York app.
On top of that, we have people who's in love with politicians refusing to deliver in New York.
I've been on the radio talking to drivers for about the last hour 15 minutes, and
I agree, T. Wriggles. I totally agree with you. I have that same mindset. You know, it looked like something that was done on purpose. It don't look like, you know, as big as that bridge is and as small as that boat was, I don't buy it.
I'm talking to at least 10 drivers going the other way. I'm heading down from South Wisconsin, and they're going to start refusing loads in New York City.
Now, you have someone who has a job to do, and because someone he likes lost a lawsuit, they refuse to make their deliveries to the merchants who they are driving for. That's crazy. On top of all this, we have tyrannical police. On top of all this, we have literal race soldiers in our cities. Literal. We're going to get into that. Who's attracted to police and
One of the areas that abuse of power has shown up a lot in the news recently is with police abuse. One of the things that's been discussed around police reform is how we can make this stop, how we can end up fixing policing. A lot of the discussion is on a part of the problem that absolutely warrants attention, but is only part of the problem, and that's what the police do. So this involves solutions like putting body cameras on police officers, oversight, scrutiny, basically, trying to make it so that there's deterrence to stop police officers abusing their position. What we don't think about often is not what the police do, but who the police are. On one end of the spectrum, people say that this is anti-police, because the data show that some certain types of people are more attracted to policing who frankly shouldn't be in a uniform, and therefore I'm trying to paint the police as some group of bad people, which is not what I'm saying. On the other end of the spectrum, politically, people are saying this is naive. Policing is fundamentally going to have these problems because the institution of policing was set up to abuse people. The way I came to this problem was to look at how recruitment of police officers determines who ends up in the uniform. And I was scouring across the United States and looking at various police departments. And one that stood out to me is this small suburb of Atlanta called Doraville, Georgia. Now, when you used to click on Doraville's website for the police department, you were greeted with this video that is quite frankly insane. The first thing you see is a literal tank with the SWAT team inside of it screaming across the frame. They're in military uniforms, they're carrying assault weapons, and they toss smoke grenades out of the vehicle. They shoot their weapons, and the whole thing is set to the soundtrack of death metal music. The people who look at that video and think, wow, that looks cool. I'd love to drive around Walmart in a tank with a smoke grenade and a huge weapon. They sign up. Now, New Zealand thought about it carefully. So I spoke to people in my research who had designed a system of recruitment that they called Do You Care Enough to Be a Cop? Basically what they start with is this very funny video in which police officers are chasing an unseen suspect, but stopping to help people cross the street, dancing with someone with a boombox for a bit, telling jokes that are quite funny.
You kind of just ruined my flow now. There was supposed to be a big build-up, and now we have to go over this whole section again. Who's we?
And then at the end of the video, they finally catch the perpetrator, which turns out to be a border collie who's stolen a woman's purse. And Do You Care Enough to Be a Cop flashes on the screen. And what happened in New Zealand was that the number of recruits shot through the roof. Their applicant pool expanded dramatically. People who didn't previously see themselves as police officers started to think, I could do that job because I care about the community. The juxtaposition with the Punisher logo and the tank compared to the border collie and the Do You Care Enough to Be a Cop logo is so extreme that it's almost amusing. It's two parallel worlds of policing that are drastically different. It's not that we can ignore what the police do. We absolutely have to have oversight and very close scrutiny of police officers who abuse their authority. But at the same time, we have to think more carefully about who ends up in the uniform to begin with. This shows up in the data when you see that the rates of domestic abuse among police officers in the United States is higher than the general average in the public. So, when you think about why that's happening, perhaps it's that the job is making them a bit more on edge or causing them to behave in certain ways. I think what's more likely is that people who are abusive are disproportionately likely to seek out a job in which you can abuse people. So that means you have ever more important scrutiny and ever more important screening who becomes a cop in the first place. That aspect of recruitment is often not part of the discussion. So I think we absolutely have to think about what the police do, but we also have to devote just as much attention to who the police are. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that my proposals mean that we will never have police abuse, we will never have police violence. These are deeply ingrained problems. I do think that we are not picking the low-hanging fruit of how we address some of these problems. And that means that we have to think more carefully about how we can make marginal improvements that add up. You have to make police behave better so that people want to be officers, and you have to present policing as though it is better so that people apply when they are publicly minded as public servants rather than people who like the idea of holding power with a badge and a gun.
Get smarter, faster with videos from the world's biggest thinkers. To learn even more from the world's biggest thinkers, get Big Think Plus for your business.
This was a protest near the White House on June 1st.
It has been an entirely peaceful protest.
It was met by...
This video is called Why America's Police Look Like Soldiers. I seen this coming in the 1990s when the police took off their everyday uniforms, started wearing all black, then they started wearing the BDUs, and all of a sudden the police started carrying long guns right with their sidearms. They had long guns and sidearms. And then you will see patrolmen with the holster with the strap around their leg. That's tactical. Patrolmen, unless they're a part of a team, most patrolmen are just patrolmen. But these cats they'll wear tactical vest, a strap around their leg with the holster hanging low on their side, and then you'll see some big fat guy in tactical gear when there's absolutely nothing tactical about him.
Forces with helmets, riot shields, rifles, and tear gas. The authorities here were a mix of police and military. There were Secret Service, Park Police, the National Guard, prison special operations, and local police from a nearby county. But can you tell which ones are the police? If it's hard to tell, it's these guys, by the way. It's because America's police have been looking more and more like troops. So why do American police officers look like soldiers? And where did they get all...
Can you imagine something's going on outside your house, and you look outside your door and the police shoot at you, telling you to get back inside the house?
These weapons.
Don't shoot! This was a peaceful protest!
Now, I've heard of so many peaceful protests that ended up violent, that the police went there and started the violence. This is what a tyrannical government does. They start the violence. That's what tyranny does. They'll start the violence. And the only way we could combat this is through organizing ourselves, coming together and organizing ourselves, and being a alternate force against whatever tyranny there is out there.
In the 1980s, police in America looked more like this. The U.S.'s crime rate had been doing this, and President Reagan called for the military to work more directly with the police for the war on drugs.
Drugs are menacing our society. We must move to strengthen law enforcement activities.
Congress agreed, and over the next few years passed a series of bills to give police access to military bases and equipment, for the National Guard to assist police with drug operations, for the military and police to train together, and eventually to have the military loan police departments their excess leftover equipment for free. This would become known as the 1033 program. Police departments got assault rifles like M16s, armored trucks, and even grenade launchers. And before long, it started to have an effect on how police police. We can see that in the number of times SWAT teams were used. Departments that had deployed them about once a month in the 80s were using them more than 80 times a year by 1995. Almost all of these deployments were for drug-related search warrants, usually forced entry searches called no-knock warrants. The police were becoming militarized, and people noticed. This 1997 article said it made police look like an occupying army. In February of 1997, 2 men robbed a bank in North Hollywood, Los Angeles. They had automatic rifles and body armor. The police didn't.
They've got automatic weapons. There's nothing we have that can stop them.
By the time it ended, a dozen police officers were injured. In the aftermath of the shootout, California...
Again, with my critical going down a rabbit hole thinking, who's to say that wasn't a drill? Who's to say that wasn't, organized just to justify the police becoming militarized and carrying assault rifles themselves? Because the police wouldn't be able to carry assault rifles themselves if it wasn't justified. These people would do anything to justify their madness.
California police demanded they be equipped with assault rifles, like the AR-15. But so did police in places from Florida to Connecticut. And that same year, the 1033 program was expanded, dropping the requirement that police departments use the equipment for drug-related enforcement. Now, any law enforcement, even university police, could access leftover military weapons for any reason. A retired police chief in Connecticut told the New York Times, "I was offered tanks, bazookas, anything I wanted." Because complete record...
You know what's crazy about that? The police will call your house. The, Police Benevolent Association, the PBA, will call your house soliciting funds from you as if they're not overfunded already. They want people to donate to the Police Benevolent Association. And every time they call my house, they don't even get it all the way out their mouth before I hang up in their damn face. You're already overly funded. If you can afford robots and tanks, you have too much damn money.
Records on these loans weren't kept until 2015. We don't know exactly how much equipment was given out in those early years. But we do have data on how much of it police departments still have from each year it was given out. And you can see a steady growth in the program for most of the 90s and 2000s. And then something happens around here.
The rest of our troops in Iraq will come home by the end of the year.
In 2011, the U.S. military formally withdrew its troops from Iraq. That meant the military had a lot of equipment and one less war to use it on. So it became available to the police. This is a mine-resistant ambush protected vehicle, or MRAP. It's among the most controversial equipment given out under the 1033 program. And we know from the data that police departments still have several hundred of them that they got in 2013 and 2014. But none.
The police have the safest job on the planet because they have all the weapons. Everything on their waist can maim or take a life. You don't see anything on their waist. I guarantee if someone asks them to carry Narcan or carry anything that's going to preserve a life, they will look at them like they're crazy.
From 2015. That's because in August of 2014, the 1033 program became national news.
We just said hands up, don't shoot, and they just start shooting.
A police officer in Ferguson, Missouri, had shot and killed an unarmed black teenager, Michael Brown. Afterwards, the community's protests were met by heavily militarized police who pointed sniper rifles at them as they marched.
Tear gas and armored tanks became a familiar sight in Ferguson, Missouri.
The police departments around the country have been getting a lot of this type of equipment.
President Obama responded with an executive order curbing the 1033 program.
We've seen how militarized gear can sometimes give people a feeling like there's an occupying force as opposed to a force that's part of the community that's protecting them and serving them.
2 years later, President Trump's administration reversed it.
We will not put superficial concerns about public safety.
But by that point,
okay, if it's public safety, why doesn't the public feel safe when you see men and women walking around with military weapons, driving through your neighborhood with tanks? We used to always say that when I was a younger brother, how they was widening the highways and stuff because they wanted to have room to roll tanks through our communities. Now I see that what we were saying is on point.
the 1033 program had become a lot less important anyway. This chart shows that by 2016, most MRAPs loaned out by the military went to smaller police departments. That means when larger cities today have MRAPs and other military gear, it's often because they've bought it themselves. And that's because police having military...
Exactly. If the police department can buy this equipment themselves, they have entirely too much money. Defund the police.
Gear and weapons no longer depends on any one government program. It's now a part of how police see themselves.
The thing that I think is really important is with that equipment comes a certain mentality.
This is Arthur Reiser. He's a former military police officer, former civilian police officer, and now studies police militarization. A big part of his research is about that mentality. And he shared a poll he did of police officers with us.
I ask officers, do you have any problem with police officers routinely on patrol carrying military grade equipment or dressing in military type of uniforms? And the vast majority of those officers told me, no, I have no problem with that. And then the second question I asked is, do you think it changes the way that officers feel about themselves and their role in policing? And the vast majority of officers again said, yes. And what they said was it makes them more aggressive, more assertive, and it can make them more violent. And then finally, I asked them, how do you think the public perceives you? And the vast majority said it scares them. They know that it scares the public. They know that it...
And that's the thing. They know that it scares the public, and they have no problem with the public fearing them. Because if the public fear them, they will comply with their orders, even if they're unlawful.
It makes them more aggressive or more assertive. And
greetings, respect to the true daughter of darkness. Peace.
That could be dangerous, but they don't seem to care.
There are definitely times when it's been more clearly beneficial for the police to have this equipment. For example, during the Pulse nightclub shooting in 2016, Orlando police used an armored military vehicle to stop the shooter. But those moments tend to be the exception. Today, this equipment is still mostly used by SWAT teams for executing drug-related search warrants. And more than half of those are still...
And when there was a shooter in Dallas a few years ago, no one went in to get into a gunfight with the brother who was shooting out with the police. They sent the robot in with a bomb. See, that's what policing are going to today. They have cowards who are afraid to engage. I'm from the era when you get chased by the cops, they'll chase you down, they'll catch you, and they'll lock you up. You run from a cop today, they'll shoot you in the back, and nobody have a problem with that shit.
No-knock warrants, the kind that Louisville police were executing when they killed Breonna Taylor. And in the case of the Ferguson protests, the Department of Justice found that the heavily militarized presence served to escalate rather than de-escalate the overall situation. The military and the police are supposed to serve different purposes. A military protects an us from a them. A police officer is supposed to be a part of the us. But when police think of themselves as soldiers, that can change.
What is a police officer going to do with an assault rifle when he's facing a protest? Seriously, when you give someone a hammer, why are you surprised that everything looks like a nail to them?
It intimidates the protesters, which is why they are sent out there to intimidate the protesters. Now, this is important. 15 items every prepper should hoard and have. We may need these things. So if we're preparing for the worst, again, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So we have to be prepared.
Guys, when it comes to prepping and survival, there are items that really you need to kind of stock up on or hoard, if that's a good word for it. There are certain items that you will just continually need. And it's very important in a grid down situation to have those items. So today we're going to take a look at 15 items. There are a lot more, but these to me are my top 15. And guys, if you're serious about prepping and survival, check out Survival Dispatch Insider, one of the best resources on the web, some of the top names in the survival world. We upload exclusive videos there every week. I have a link down below in the description. Check it out. One of the big items that you want to stock up is toilet paper. Now, toilet paper is big and it's clunky. The rolls are thick, but having toilet paper, it's not really a good subject.
Do I think protesting work? I think organizing work. Protesting has its presence and its effectiveness. But I did that and I don't think it's effective as much as I would want it to be. I think if we organized to the point that people would see us and say, well, you better not go down there and mess with them people because they are organized and they are equipped. We have to organize, strategize, deputize, and equip ourselves with the necessary equipment to deal with whatever we encounter. That's the problem. Now, I don't think we should go to our enemy's brother and ask him to do something about his brother's behavior. Not going to happen. See, if we're organized like we should be, people would know that, okay, this community is tight-knit and they handle their business. You can't run through there doing anything you want in that community because there's a whole lot of men there that handle themselves in their business like men. So if you think you're going to go down there to running through their community like a midnight marauder, or you patrolling their community acting like you don't, harassing the people that live in that community, when 9 times out of 10, the so-called authorities don't live there. See, that's the thing with me. I have a problem with someone who don't live in the community being a cop there. I got a problem with that. I think the cops should have to live in the city. But because we have people here doing dirt and going back to where they live and resting easy. But if you live in that community and you got to sleep, you got to sleep in that community after you did that 12-hour shift as a cop, your behavior will be different than if you driving 10, 15 miles away, 20 miles away after doing so much dirt in the city. mistreating people.
Substitute that's this inexpensive. We always try to buy these 12 packs and then just stock them up. But definitely toilet paper to me is one of the first. Duct tape, of course, you've got your standard duct tape, and we have Gorilla Tape, which is great. I would be careful buying some of the lesser expensive or the lesser known brands just because you want something that's really going to hold. If you're needing duct tape, you really need it to stick. Now, the U.S. military uses 100-mile-an-hour tape. That is also excellent. Comes in a lot of different colors. This is just a few rolls that I have, but I try to keep extra duct tape in a good place that doesn't get too hot because you don't want this to become sticky and unusable. Fire is something that's essential in a survival situation. One big thing that I like to do is when I'm, in line at Walmart or wherever, I grab a pack of lighters and I just throw them in the bag, and I keep these. I've got a container where I keep all these different lighters. I like Bic. They just seem to work most of the time, but I also keep a lot of matches. Strike Anywhere matches are my preferred choice, but I do use regular standard matches as well. Box type is what I like. Of course, stormproof matches really are probably the best. I mean, that's really what you need. What I like is this little container. It does keep the matches themselves in this container all waterproof. So even though they are stormproof and you do have a little tinder and you do have a striker right here on the side. So, this is just another way. Now, of course, these are a lot more expensive than your standard matches, so you can really stock up on these. But I would definitely have some stormproof matches. Of course, here's one of my fire kits, and I have my, ferrocerium rod and different fire tenders and things like that. But typically, as far as stocking up, matches and lighters are really what I try to stock up on. Batteries are definitely something to have on hand. Really, Duracell to me last longer than any of the other batteries for me, including Energizer. And so I've always keep these handy. And then also the CR123s, I use those in a lot of my flashlights, and in a lot of my optics, we have different small batteries, like watch battery types. The 2032s are a big one. All these boxes have the 2032s. I buy a lot of those on eBay in bulk packs. Also the CR123s. Rechargeable batteries have a recharger, but over long term, you may not have power. And so I don't really depend too heavily on my rechargeable batteries. The CR123s will last up to 10 years shelf life. Of course, your standard Duracell, AA's and AAA's, guaranteed to last for 10 years. And honestly, guys, we live in an electronic age. We're always needing batteries anyway, so it's good to have a stockpile. Flashlights are good for any time. One of the things about light is it is your number one security tool. So you want to definitely have flashlights. And of course, this goes along with the batteries. And sometimes, you have
that mag light, the one he has in his hands now, is the one that the police carry as a nightstick also. What they do with their nightstick is they shine it in your face and then bop you on the top of your head with it. Right after they shine it in your face, they'll bop you on top of your head with it. That mag light is also a nightstick.
The old school, like this old mag light. This can be used as a baton for self-defense, but so can this Olight Warrior X. With the crenulated bezel. In fact, flashlights are number one for a self-defense weapon. So that is one thing, but there's a ton of different choices. Headlamps, your old military surplus flashlights. Again, this is a little more of an advanced headlight by Zebra Light. And then you've got also like lanterns. And so this can be used as a flashlight, but we can also use it as a light, in certain situations where a candle just doesn't work. And this compacts down. It's really easy to carry. Then here at the front, then you have a flashlight here. So there's so many different choices, but here's the reason why you need to hoard some flashlights. If something goes wrong with a flashlight, which they tend to do, they're electronics, you have extras, you have backups. And with light, again, being your number one security tool, it's important to have light. Candles, a big one. We just had our power out the other night, had a transformer to blow. We had a ton of candles. We were able to light the house up fine without using undue power from our flashlights, etc. Of course, we had our flashlights and we could use those, but the different type candles, even tea light candles, there's a lot of different options. These are just really inexpensive candle options. Of course, my wife gets the big ones. You can get the 12-hour candles. There's a lot of different choices, but you can start out cheap and build from there. And guys, who hasn't had their power out at some point? Unscented bleach not only cleans, keeps things clean, but also you can purify water. And that's probably the most important part of bleach. You need to make sure, again, that it is unscented, and you can go with a brand name, or here I have just a, generic. We have 2 big Berkeys, so we can definitely stay in drinking water, but having the bleach serves so many different purposes. Plastic bags. One of the big things about plastic bags, especially these contractor bags, and typically I get these at Home Depot, they are heavy meal. They are awesome. I keep them in my go bag. They can be used as a tarp. They can be used as a poncho. It can be used to carry stuff. There's a ton of different things that these trash bags will do, and the heavy meal are the best to really stock up on. But we do use the standard compact bags as well. There may be times where we need them. And so having some kind of bag, you can just throw things in it. You can haul it. There's so many different things. And really, guys, try to get some of the best bags that are out there, the real tough ones. You don't want something falling out. But again, bags, all different types, but the contractor bags to me are number one. Along with the same theme of trash bags, keeping these small little grocery bags can be really useful, especially hauling things. You can load a bunch of stuff in here, especially small items, and then you can carry it. So this is something that's really easy. Of course, it's cheap because you get them for free. And there's a lot of different ways that you can store these to keep them out of the way. Definitely a useful item are tarps. And we just get the standard tarps. They're fairly inexpensive, with the eyelets. And then we have the heavy duty tarps. These are really good. And then here I have a camo tarp. And I like to keep them in the plastic if we're storing them, just to kind of keep it nice and clean. But we even have canvas tarps that we use, and a number of different types. And this is something that I definitely want to keep plenty of. If you have some kind of environmental accident, maybe your house, a tree limb goes through it, you can put this over it. A vehicle, you can put tarp over it if you have a window to break. But then just covering up things. There's so many uses for tarps. Laying this down on the ground if you're in a bug out situation. These can even create a lean-to. They can create a shelter. Again, guys, there's just so many things you can do with tarps. Socks, another great item to be able to hoard. Definitely we wear through socks. they can go out fairly easily. And so a good pair of quality socks will last longer. But, if you really want to, and of course, there's so many different choices too with the different materials. Here we have some Keens, and these have their wool. These are excellent. Then we have just some sports socks. But the main thing is, having socks is going to protect your feet, and you need to be able to protect your feet. One of the things about the homeless is that is the number one item they need, and it's the least donated item. So just a little side note with socks, go buy some socks, take it to your local shelter or, Goodwill or something like that and donate them. But first, hoard some for yourself. Salt's definitely another one of those things that you need to store, but you need to keep it in a cool, dry place. You don't want it to clump up. But there are reasons why we buy salt licks if we have livestock. They need salt. You need salt. It has to be part of your diet. I like salt with iodine in it. Of course, you need iodine, so this really helps. You do have a lot of salt in foods, but in a grid down situation, you're not going to have as much processed food, so there's not going to be as much salt. So keeping salt's a no-brainer. Guys, most of the seed that you find at the store is non-GMO, but it's hybrid seed. And so what happens is it doesn't reproduce. Finding some heirloom seeds are really key to long-term survival. Being able to not only plant, but also to harvest the seeds once the plants, have died down in the fall. And so getting your seeds, going ahead and getting you a garden. Guys, it's really crazy to try to plant a garden for the first time after an SHTF situation or after grid down. And so for long term, this is the only item really that pertains to food, but this is your self-sustaining way to keep food on the table. Non-hybrid seeds.
This is definitely long term because, you have to plant the seed, you have to maintain the garden, and then wait for your harvest. So this is definitely long term.
And there's a ton of different places you can get these. Guys, there's a lot of things that run on propane. Here we have a couple of this small little camping propane cylinders. But of course, those that are on your grills, you know, having extras, having them filled up. We always keep about 4 or 5 that are filled at all times in case we need them. And then we keep a supply of these smaller ones. And there's a lot of different things that you can attach to these. So definitely, this is a great way.
Peace. Salute to my brother, Epic Studies. How you been, brother? It's been a while. Where you been, brother?
To be able to have some kind of fuel. And it's actually pretty stable. Now, going a little old school with a lantern can give you some light, and it's refillable with either your lamp oil. You can put kerosene in it. You can put different things to be able to run this. So the big thing that you need to hoard are lamp wicks and lamp oil, or at least try to have some on hand. But the wicks are definitely important. You may be able to find oil or something to burn in your lantern, but without the wick, it's not going to do you any good. Also, if you have Coleman lanterns, you know, the mantles, having those stocked up also is a huge plus. Guys, cordage, you can definitely use cordage in a lot of different ways. It is one of the elements for a survival kit. Paracord seems to be the most versatile. One of the big reasons is because true paracord, it's the 550 cord, which means it's rated up to 550 pounds. 7-strand core means that there are 7 strands inside here that you can utilize. And so obviously the military's been using this forever, but civilians as well. This stuff is gold. So make sure that you have plenty of paracord. I have tons of this stuff. And I'll tell you what, I use it all the time. And guys, obviously having a stock of water and food and those things, that's really a no-brainer. Guys, last but not least, medical supplies. I mean, you need to keep the essentials, whether it's, you know, gauze, tape, splint material. Here we have one of the AMP3. This is the Outfitters kit. This thing is like a clinic in a roll. This thing is awesome. It's not cheap, but guys, I'll tell you, it has all the essentials. Of course, USN ER Doc is a emergency room doctor that puts this together. I've got reviews on this and a lot of other things, so I don't want to really get too much into it. You know, having a tourniquet, chest seals, you know, just a lot of different things. You have some scissors. We have a ton of things in here. This is actually from Skinny Medic, and that's another one, Medical Outfitters. Definitely a great source for your medical gear. And guys, if your child is injured and you need to get help, or your wife or those you love, you definitely need to have some supplies on hand, because medical emergency services may not be around. And then definitely your boo-boo kits, which are Band-Aids, antibiotic ointments, you know.
Something that we all need to consider. They may not be able to respond. Everything may be on us when it all boils down to it. It is on us.
Regular gauze, things like that. So having a good, well-stocked medical kit and adding to it regularly is just smart. Now, definitely there are other items, and down in the description be a great place for you to put those items. A lot of people look through the comments, and it makes it really nice to be able to help one another down there. I mean, this is a community, and we help one another. So the reason why I bring these videos, guys, is for you to be prepared. Hopefully there was some things on this list that maybe you hadn't thought about, but obviously down in the comments is a great place to take care of the ones I didn't think about. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live.
Now, that's about it in a nutshell. We must be prepared. We have to be prepared for a tyrannical government. We have to be prepared for if things fail around us, like the power and, you know, the power go out. If for some reason the shelves in the grocery stores are empty, all these essential items are unavailable for us, these things are going to have to be done by us. We're going to have to learn how to produce these things on our own. And that's our survival, and our lives depend on it. Sometimes people's lives have to depend on something in order for them to do something about their own condition. And we are going to be forced to do for self. We're going to be forced because we feel compelled to argue about everything else, or not necessarily debate or argue it. We need to come together and devise a plan. Again, I keep saying, if we fail to plan, we plan to fail. I don't know who takes a test to fail it on purpose. That's backwards to me. But hope this information was essential, something that we could use. I just wanted to share this with the family. I just wanted to know and ask that question, how many of us are prepared? And I appreciate the brothers and sisters for tuning in, hanging out with your brother for a little while. It's greatly appreciated, and your continued support is appreciated. But this is going to conclude this stream, brothers and sisters. The question is a rhetorical question, but I just wanted to ask, because I know everybody in this chat are somewhat prepared. I see it like this. It's like when we come together for a cookout. I'm sure wherever I didn't bring, one of my brothers and sisters brought it. So we can just combine forces and have everything we need if we come together collectively. This is your brother Nasir on the Enemies Public. Like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. I enjoy hanging out with you, brothers and sisters, tonight. Peace.
Whether you like it or you don't like it, you love it, you hate it, one thing for damn sure, you are gonna respect it.
Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
Okay!